तो आप
Yes.
कैसे डिफाइन करोगे इमोशनल वेलनेस को?
विक्टिमाइज का जो साइकिल है उसमें से बाहर निकलने के लिए यू हैव अ टू डोर्स. आई ऑलवेज थॉट दैट मेरा बॉयफ्रेंड ना मतलब पजेसिव होना चाहिए.
इनफैक्ट ऑलमोस्ट इन ऑल जॉब्स बहुत प्रेशर है कि बहुत कुछ हैंडल करना है और फिर रिलेशनशिप्स रिक्वायर इक्वल अमाउंट ऑफ एफर्ट.
It is there in your brain, it is there in your life. It's just you are not recognizing it. But we will replace that statement in our head that though it is hard, but I can do it and it's a great opportunity for me to learn. Actually, what is giving you happiness? Is it traveling, or maybe spending a quality time with your friends, or maybe just sitting with your spouse and talking about your problems and get the solution out of it?
Hello and welcome to another scintillating episode of Convo with Aish, where we have with us today Hetal Desai, a beautiful soul and a very dear friend. ये हमें सिखाने वाली है कि कैसे हम अपने इमोशंस को बैलेंस करके थ्रू रेजिलियंस एंड directed effort can achieve the life of her dreams. She has been through a lot of hardships, a rough childhood without mother's comfort and guidance. Professionally, she has done her MBA in U.S.A, has done 15 years of successful career in corporate and worked with more than 10 reputed corporates in India and USA. She's broke the chain of corporate jobs and became an entrepreneur and founder of Happy and Divine Coaching. She has also served more than 300 individuals through her resilience coaching and continue to do so, and is a lovely darling at heart. So let's get to know more about her and more about very, very imperative topics, especially for the people who are in corporate, especially for the women who are fighting any internal issues. She's also talked about some very deep issues that women face in workplace environment, in personal life, in their minds, which most people ignore to talk about. And this is what I love about her. She's bold, she's blunt, and she will put across her point that she wants to portray. So if you're dealing with any issues related to your emotions, mindset, motivation, and fail to be productive, resilient, then this is definitely the podcast for you, and you should definitely watch till the end. For each and every woman out there, this is a must watch because you will find out so many things about the world and yourself that you might be ignoring or neglecting. So without wasting any time, let's begin. Hi Hetal, welcome to Convo with Ash.
Hi, Ayushi. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you.
कैसे हैं आप? कैसा चल रहा है आपका जीवन?
Mera जीवन, I would say, very hectic because a lot of things are going on, and I'm sure you must be knowing that I'm working as well full time. So working plus coaching plus coaching my members. It's very hodgepodge, but I'm managing it very
Yeah.
well, I would say.
That's precisely what we intend to learn from you today कि इतना सब कुछ आप मैनेज कैसे करें, कैसे आप बैलेंस लेके चल रहे हो इतनी सारी चीजों का. So for the people
Mm.
who doesn't know you yet or who are seeing you for the first time, you're a resilience coach for high stress jobs. So basically क्या है ये concept? Because resilience coach ऐसा कुछ एकदम हटके है. पहली बार मैंने सुना. I was very intrigued by कि ये niche कुछ अलग है. So please tell me a little about this, what it is about.
Yes. So it all started with exactly where I'm coming from, right? You must be knowing that I have a full 15 years of experience now in corporates and working in a very high stress environment because it's about a business development, right? So in business development, position, it's full cycle. You have to generate the sales, you have to generate the leads, you have to give a services. It's like a complete cycle, right? So in that, you're always stuck in that cycle. So one pressure, एक टारगेट अचीव होता है जो है लीड जनरेशन का, फिर दूसरा टारगेट आ जाता है, वो है सेल्स जनरेशन का, रेवेन्यू जनरेशन का. So the moment you achieve that, then the third level is to a customer satisfaction, right? So that comes after giving the good services, right? And all by itself from this business development managers, right? So this is the position I have held for entire 15 years. So all these skills, the time management, setting up boundaries, managing my work life balance, all this helped me where I am today. So this is what it is. And
Perfect. Perfect.
resilience is the key part in this cycle. Why? Because it always helped me to bounce back, right? Because as per the American Psychological Association, resilience means adapting a change and overcome the adversity, right? So whenever the tough situations are there, so tough is like a target. That's
Mm,
the toughest, situation in anyone's career, correct? So when the tough situation is there, you are preparing yourself to bounce back for another tough situation. So
yes.
that's how it all started, and that's why I'm into resilience coaching.
Awesome. This is basically the crux. जो चीजें मुझे actually आपसे जाननी है through this conversation. Because when I see you, the words that come to my mind is resilient, opinionated, confident, and just go for it, girl. कि मुझे चाहिए,
Yeah,
मुझे करना है तो मैं करूंगी. बाकी सब
correct,
कैसे हो रहा है वो बाद में देख लेंगे.
correct.
बट द की थिंग इज कि जब आप इतने हाई स्ट्रेस लेवल सराउंडिंग में हो, एनवायरनमेंट में हो, सो ऑफ कोर्स यू हैव टू मीट सर्टेन डेडलाइंस. आपको बहुत लोगों को सेटिस्फाइड भी रखना है कि हाँ क्लाइंट सेटिस्फाइड है, सीनियर्स और फिर जूनियर से काम भी करवाना है. सो ऐसे में
Yes,
इमोशंस गो फॉर अ टॉस कि हाउ डू मैनेज सो मेनी इमोशंस. बिकॉज व्हेन आई वाज वर्किंग इन अ फुल टाइम जॉब, दिस वाज अ की चैलेंज फॉर मी कि ठीक है
yeah,
पर्सनल लाइफ भी बैलेंस करना है, फिर काम में इतनी सारी चीजें हो रही हैं. सो योर की पॉइंट दैट आई फाउंड इन योर कम्युनिटी इज इमोशनल वेलनेस. तो आप कैसे
yes.
डिफाइन करोगे इमोशनल वेलनेस को, एंड हाउ डू यू लाइक अडेप्ट इट और इम्प्लीमेंट इट इन योर डेली लाइफ?
So, like, it never happened like overnight, right? It was always the process. So, whenever I'm doing a coaching, also, I always tell my members that it's the process. It's not something that you can go to a store, buy it, and you adopt it, and you implement it, and it is done, and you are now good to go. Not at all. Nothing is like that. Not only resilience, but any skills, because resilience is the skill, right? And so now, let me start with my initial stage of my career. So I used to cry, trust me, it is the real story of mine. One fine day, like, I was in the conference and I was presenting my monthly review to my seniors. So in that conference room, the only one thing was, by mistake it happened, and that too my senior asked me to follow that instructions. But when you are in a conference and when you are in front of your seniors, two seniors, you cannot point out anyone, right?
Yes.
So you have only one choice left to accept. Okay, he yelled at me. He said that this is not the format that you are supposed to, use it in a presentation. That was the only silly mistake that he pointed out. So understand the presentation, the data, the information, even the PNL, the profit and loss was also going very good for that particular month. But the only one thing, he pointed out was the format, the layout of PPT, the presentation. And because of that, he yelled at me and he screwed my happiness on that day. So I continued in that conference. I continued my presentation. I heard all those stuff. The moment I completed that presentation and that meeting, I went to a washroom and I cried a hell lot of it. Like, I think I cried for half an hour. My eyes were like all red. So मुझे उस टाइम पे ऐसा लगा कि मेरी गलती कहाँ पर थी. Sometimes you are in that situations where you feel that there is no fault of yours, that you have not done anything wrong, but still you are into that situation and you are you are
Yes.
having that chaos.
It
Correct.
actually happens more times than we would like. बहुत होता है
Yes,
ये.
yes. Even though you are innocent, but you are still in that situation. So first thing first was I got self-aware, right? So not that at that moment, but yes, right after that, I sat down with my emotions, with my tears, with my disappointment, sadness, and all that negative thoughts were there in my mind. I sat for a minute at my desk and I accepted it. This is happened. Okay, the situation is over. The incident is over. It is a good learning for me that my one senior guided me on the other side and the other people are expecting me to behave on the other side. So understand, so both are the seniors. So one is the CEO and one is my direct reporting, the VP, the vice president, right? So vice president told me to, prepare that presentation in certain way, in certain format. But then CEO didn't like that format. So
So
understand the
he's
clashes
quiz.
are
Yeah.
happening on the other level. I am not there. I'm not that part of their ego and their understandings, right? But still, I was part of it. So then the emotional wellness, coming to your question, is, you have to be self aware. That's the first stage of emotional wellness, right? इमोशनल इंटेलिजेंस बोलो या फिर इमोशनल वेलनेस बोलो, ये सारी चीजें, ये जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, डॉक्टर जो डिस्पेंजा, ही हैज इंट्रोड्यूस्ड इट long time back, and he's the one who has done a lot of research on it, right? So emotional wellness comes, first step is from the self awareness. So that was my first learning, and in that crucial time, right? After that, I started this journey, like aware about my emotions, then regulating it, right?
Hmm.
So that is the self regulation. So you are regulating your emotions. How you are regulating is, फर्स्ट स्टेप आई गॉट टू नो, मुझे पता चल गया ये हो चुका है अभी, रायता फैल चुका है, राइट? अभी ये रायते को कैसे यूज किया जाए किसी और चीज में, उसको कैसे मतलब प्रेजेंटेबल बनाया जाए, राइट? इट्स इन अ लेमन लैंग्वेज. सो व्हेन यू आर फीलिंग वेरी नेगेटिव डिसअपॉइंट पर एनीथिंग, तो फर्स्ट स्टेप पता चल गया, हाँ भाई मेरे से गलती हो गई है, एक्सेप्ट कर लो, आगे बढ़ो. आगे बढ़ने के लिए भी यू नीड अ रोड मैप, कि अभी इसको अप्रोच कैसे करना है, अभी नेक्स्ट स्टेप क्या है, तो वो रेगुलेशन है. तो यू हैव टू रेगुलेट योर इमोशंस इन द नेक्स्ट स्टेप. So how you would do it, you will correct your actions, right? And next time whenever I will go for a presentation or any meeting, I will make sure कि वो presentation में दो तीन लोगों के जो भी seniors है, या तो CEO के PA को पूछ लूंगी, या तो
Yeah.
मेरे बॉस के बॉस को भी पूछ लूंगी कि भाई ये लेआउट ठीक है कि नहीं है. If this is perfect, then and then only I'm going to present in the next meeting. So that is my sense of awareness plus sense of regulation.
Regulation.
So I
Correct.
change my action, I change my approach for the next situation,
Right.
right? So this
Basically
is a
we need
two
to
part.
channelize कि जो हो गया,
Yes.
इमोशंस तो आएंगे, we can not
Mhm.
forgo the emotions. तो बेसिकली हमको क्या
Yes.
करना है कि पहले समझ लो कि ठीक है ये फील हो रहा है, पूरा फील कर लो, and now
Yes.
how you can channelize this to something productive.
Yes.
कि next time जब ये same चीज अगर, because it happens, it can happen multiple times,
Correct.
you can
Correct.
have a different approach to it. कि अब ज्यादा आधे घंटे नहीं रोएंगे, अब 2 मिनट में सब
We
करके
will
हो जाएगा.
change the approach. We will change our, thought process also. Disappointment है, या फिर हम कभी कभी अपने आप को बोलते हैं यार it is too hard. But we will replace that statement in our head that though it is hard, but I can do it, and it's a great opportunity for me to learn and grow. Right? So
Yes.
this is the phase of a self-regulation. Then third step is, so there are total four pillars of a emotional wellness, right? Number one is self awareness. Number two is self-regulations. Number three is empathy. So empathy is something that 50% part you have done, right? हमें पता चल गया हमने क्या रायता फैलाया है, अभी कैसे ठीक करना है वो हमें पता चल गया. दिस इज अ 50 पार्ट, 50% ऑफ दिस जर्नी, ऑफ दिस एंटायर वेलनेस जर्नी. अभी 50% क्या है कि एम्पैथी में यू आर एम्पैथाइज योरसेल्फ, राइट?
Yes.
Okay, Hetal, that's okay, it is done, let's move forward. This is the attitude, that growth mindset, it's a positive attitude that you
Yes.
will develop in that. And the other 50% in the empathy is you will think about other people, कि वो सिचुएशन में कौन कौन लोग इन्वॉल्व है. ठीक है, मैं ऐसे तो नहीं बोल सकती ऐसे पेपर फेंक के जाओ मेरे को जॉब नहीं करनी, राइट? या फिर मैं
पर
ऐसे
मन
भी नहीं
यही
बोल.
करता है at the point of time.
एग्जैक्टली. एंड what happens is in this situation you try to play a blame game, right?
Yes.
मैं
True.
ऐसे भी नहीं कर सकती कॉन्फ्रेंस में कि मुझे तो मेरे सर ने बोला था इसलिए मैंने ये बनाया. यू कांट, you cannot behave like a victimized in that
Yes.
situation, right? Because you have to think about my senior, the other people also who are involved in that situation. So that 50% is under the empathy pillar, right? And the fourth is the relationship management. So relationship management is something that you have to manage everyone's emotions, you know,
Correct.
especially when you are in a chaos, or especially when you are feeling anxiety, you are feeling disappointments because of other people. Whenever the other person is involved in that particular event, you have to have, these two elements with empathy and relationship management. So this complete four pillars, is the package that brings the emotional wellness in our lives with a daily, practice.
Brilliant, brilliant. Especially the thing that you said with the empathy कि हम लोग दूसरों के साथ ज्यादा इजीली एम्पैथाइज कर लेते हैं पर हम लोग वी आर वेरी हार्ड ऑन आवरसेल्व्स. तो पहले
Yes,
खुद को एम्पैथाइज करना दैट्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एंड
correct,
दिस इज बेसिकली कैन बी अप्लाइड टू एनी सिचुएशन. चाहे कोई लड़ाई
correct,
हो रही है कुछ, पहले आप खुद देखो हाउ यू आर फीलिंग अबाउट द सिचुएशन एंड देन यू कैन
correct,
मैनेज द इमोशंस ऑफ अदर पीपल हु आर इन्वॉल्व. क्योंकि जब
correct.
आपका इमोशन क्लियर होगा तब आप दूसरों का इमोशन अफेक्ट कर
Yes,
सकते
you're
हो.
capable enough, then only, because
यस.
otherwise you're just dealing with your own emotions. आप दूसरे का कैसे
हाँ,
समझोगे?
करेक्ट. और फिर वो और भी वियर्ड वे में निकल के आएगा.
Yes, yes, yes.
awesome, awesome. So यही इमोशनल वेलनेस या इमोशनल कोशेंट जो आजकल बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट है, whether you're in any industry, any job, or even for your general relationships. So I was going through your website and I saw a thing that is behavioral intervention for
Yeah,
anxiety particularly. So anxiety एक ऐसी चीज है जो शायद ही कोई होगा जिसने कभी एक्सपीरियंस नहीं की. कोई ना कोई चीज होती है दैट मेक्स अस एंग्शियस. चाहे वो फिर कोई चाइल्डहुड ट्रॉमा हो या कोई सिचुएशन हो जिससे हम डरते हैं या कोई ऐसी एक्टिविटी हो दैट इज नॉट फेवरेबल फॉर अस. सो
right.
व्हाट इज दिस इंटरवेंशन? व्हाट इज द
So,
क्रक्स ऑफ इट?
right. So intervention is something that um, see, it's related to behaviors, right? So that these two words itself, self-explanatory, that it is more about your behavior, your personality, your approach. It's more of an external, right? But still it is connected with your internal emotions. Why? Because before I go further, I want to tell you one thing which, with um, which is like all like a brain performer or scientist, coaches or other, neurologist, doctors and
Yes.
other people who are actually mentioning that your behavior, like a body language, your brain, and your emotions, these three things should be aligned most of the times, right?
Yes.
We cannot do it all the time. अगर हम कर लेते हैं तो शायद हम भगवान बन जाएंगे, या फिर हम साइंटिस्ट बन जाएंगे, या तो हम बहुत हायर एनर्जी, हायर लेवल पे
Yes.
पहुंच जाएंगे, राइट? So we have to try in our daily life that we align these three elements most of the time, right? So now let's talk about the behavior part, right? So in this, you have to, it start with the exposure therapy. Okay. So exposure therapy is something that you identify your triggers, because
Mm.
anxiety comes only from the triggers or triggered situations. Okay.
Correct.
Someone gets triggered by the words, certain words. Someone get triggered by the situations, right? So, Abhi, for example, let's say that if somebody asks me what is my trigger, so my trigger is someone says that okay, Hetal, you cannot do this. तेरे बस का काम नहीं है ये. So this is my trigger, and now I am at this point that I have taken this trigger in a positive way,
Right.
right? I have turned around this. I can laugh at it because I know that I can do it. So that confidence levels has already built, right? So in this journey, you have to identify first your triggers, which situations or people or words or any thought, even even thoughts can trigger, right?
Yes.
होता है ना,
Very
कभी
much.
कभी हमारा मूड सडनली बिगड़ जाता है. तो
Correct.
वो क्यों होता है? हम अकेले बैठे होते हैं, अगर किसी ने कुछ पूछ लिया, मेरा बहुत बहुत ज्यादा होता है इनफैक्ट, व्हेन आई एम थिंकिंग समथिंग, बिकॉज लॉट ऑफ स्टफ गोइंग ऑन इन माय माइंड, राइट?
Mm.
So if something is like processing, I'm processing something, and if my dad interrupt and ask me, okay, आपको आज रात को क्या खाना है, because the cook comes at my home and then she cook it, so we always have this kind of discussions कि अच्छा तुम्हें क्या dinner में चाहिए, ये वो. मैं यार, this is not the right time to, ask me about this. Just give me a moment. I'm processing something in my mind.
Okay.
But for him, I'm just sitting down. I'm maybe watching TV, or maybe I'm just sitting idle. but in my
Yes,
mind, a lot of things going on. So thoughts can also trigger. So identifying trigger is the very crucial part in this journey of a behavioral changes, because it directly impact on your behaviors.
करेक्ट. एंजाइटी बेसिकली स्टार्ट ही ट्रिगर से होती है. लाइक यू सेड
Exactly.
कि कोई पैटर्न है आपका, या तो आपका थॉट है, या कोई एक्शन है, या कोई पर्सन है. किसी ने कुछ कह दिया,
Correct.
आपके इमोशंस ट्रिगर हो गए. आपने कुछ सोच लिया, आपके इमोशंस ट्रिगर हो गए. और फिर नेक्स्ट
Correct.
कोर्स ऑफ एक्शन होता है, आइदर यू विल फाइट और यू विल फ्लाइट. या तो
Yes.
भागोगे या तो
या
लड़ोगे.
तो आप फाइट कर लोगे. Yes.
यस.
So that's a
तो
very common reactions that people adopt it. But if they take a pause, there is a technique actually that if you do an intentional pause, okay, in this, in why I'm calling intentional pause is something that you are intending to do it, right? So in between all this chaos, all this dramatic situation is happening around us, and a lot of people are actually talking or gossiping about other people, and a lot of things are going on around us, right? In our head also, and surroundings is also the same, right? So in this we can take an intentional pause, in which you can just take a deep breath, close your eyes, and think about where you are right now, right? And how you want to respond. If you are in a responsive mode, or if you are in an action mode, just think twice. Okay, how do you want to respond? How do you want to take a action, right? So when what happens is, it has happened a lot of times with me. But I'm handling, like, prox 20 to 30 people. It's the average that I have always handled, the team size. What happens is, there are people who do not understand your instructions. So I was kind of impatient person. Like, I'm telling him one, two, three, four, 5 times, but still that person is not getting it, what exactly what I'm expecting it from him. Because of course, when you have a target based job, there's certain things it's expected from the organization as well, right? So that way we need to
गेट
pass
इट
the
डन.
message to the front one as well. So if that person is not understanding, then I take a break. I used to get very angry at that person. यार तुम्हें समझ में नहीं आ रहा है क्या? मैं लेमन लैंग्वेज में बोल रही हूँ. तुम्हें गुजराती समझ में आती है, तुम्हें हिंदी समझ में आती है. So like, I used to get that level, and then I picked up myself. I'm like, no, this is not the way I supposed to treat them, right? Because ultimately they are the one who are actually working, right? I am only ordering. I'm managing the team, correct? And I'm making sure that they're working as per the expectations of the company. So then I picked up this technique of a intentional pause. So I used to take a pause. And then there was a time where, they used to tell me, ma'am, ek kaam karo, ab 1 minute le lo. Take a deep breath. Even my dad is now, like doing a fun of it. He's like making a fun of it. Hetal, le lo, deep breath. Take a
या.
deep breath and do this.
पर
So
ये
it's,
बेस्ट है. इट्स वेरी
yeah,
बेसिक. पर हम नहीं रियलाइज करते, इवन स्पेशली फॉर द इम्पल्सिव पीपल, जैसे आप हो, जैसी मैं हूँ.
yeah,
कि हम लोग पहले
yeah.
रिएक्ट करेंगे, फिर बाद में सोचेंगे, और
फिर
फिर सैड
सोचेंगे.
हो जाएंगे कि
एग्जैक्ट,
अरे यार,
एग्जैक्ट.
ऐसे नहीं बोलना चाहिए था,
ऐसे नहीं
इतना
बोलना
गुस्सा नहीं
चाहिए.
करना चाहिए था.
करेक्ट.
बट
और इतना ज्यादा रिएक्शन भी नहीं करना चाहिए था. So
यस,
that will correct, everything will be sorted out if you will do an intentional pause. It's just, it will take a minute. You can do it anytime. You can, do it like before you start your day, or even you can do it during your office hours, or even evening also. There's no perfect time or anything like that. You can do it anytime during the day. So this is a
बेसिकली ये.
perfect tip. I can say that, anyone can do it.
यस, इट इज. बेसिकली ये इंटरवेंशन ही एक तरीका कि फर्स्ट पहले समझो कि क्या फील हो रहा है, क्या आप रिएक्ट
Correct.
करने वाले हो, एंड देन रिएक्ट.
Then react.
बेसिक
Yes.
चीज है, पर इसको हैबिट में लाना बहुत डिफिकल्ट है, कि जब
बहुत
गुस्सा
difficult.
आता है या अनॉयंस होती है,
Yes, yes.
तब
Because
ब्रेथ ब्रेथ
that's
सब
what,
साइड हो
that
जाता
is what, yes. So now that, that leads to a mindfulness. Okay. अभी क्या है कि mindfulness वर्ड इतना मतलब exaggerate हो गया है कि सबको ऐसे लग रहा है, अच्छा mindfulness ना पता है. Mindfulness ऐसा नहीं है. It's like a पपलू type.
है.
Mindfulness is something that it's very, very, very important in your life, when it comes to implementing anything. Because when you're aware, self aware का क्या मतलब होता है? Mindfulness, right? Mindfulness is a very basic thing that you can, it is there in your brain, it is there in your life. It's just you are not recognizing it. बिकॉज जितना काम हम बाहर करते हैं ना, बाहर एक्सटर्नल वर्ल्ड में करते हैं, उतना काम अगर उससे भी 10% अगर हम अपने आप पे काम कर ले, तो आई एम टेलिंग यू लाइफ विल बी अमेजिंग. सो
Yes. All right. So let's dive into a little more fun side of you, that you've had some amazing experience in your time at the US. So tell me a little more about your experiences. आप किस लिए थे वहां पे, क्या क्या आपने सीखा, क्या क्या आपके experiences थे, और कुछ fun, एकदम अतरंगी कुछ तो हुआ होगा. Knowing you,
बहुत
कुछ तो
सारी चीजें
भयानक चीजें की होगी.
बहुत सारी चीजें अतरंगी हुई है. Learning part I would share at the end, but it all started with, I would go a little bit back, when I was 7 year old, when I adopted. In fact, you would be amazed when I ask this question to myself. Imagine a 7 year old kid, right? You don't have that much understanding and maturity, right? Then, I was asking myself that, okay, सबका ना अपना अपना फेवरेट हीरो होता है, और अपना फेवरेट हीरोइंस होते हैं, या पीपल होते हैं फेवरेट, राइट? तो मैंने सोचा कि व्हाई नॉट आई हैव माय फेवरेट गॉड.
Wow,
सो दिस
at
वाज,
7.
आई नो, एंड दिस वाज द फर्स्ट डायलॉग एज अ सेल्फ टॉक I had this. And I remember this, like as a strong memory of mine, because that changed my life. And that moment I taken, Lord Shiva as my favorite god. Since
Okay.
then I'm having him as my favorite buddy. I don't take him as a god, hey
Yes.
भगवान है यार, इससे ऐसी बात नहीं कर सकते, ऐसा नहीं कर सकते.
हाँ.
But I take him as my buddy. He's like my friend, you know, and I'm carrying him within me every second of my life since then. All right. So this is how my self-talk started, right? So, and then my routine life, I'm sure you know that, like, I ha- I never had a mother, you know. So when I was 1 year old, they divorced. My parents divorced, when I was only 1 year old, and my grandparents actually raised me. But when you don't have a mother, because the concept of mother is, according to me, is the character or a friend or a, your go-to place
Yes.
in your life. So that place I never had. So I build up myself as that place
Wow.
gradually. Yes. Because I have to see, my nature. I'm very talkative. I'm very cheerful. I have to talk. If nobody's there, and then I started talking to myself. So this is a level of, talkative person I am. So since then I started talking to myself, and then self talk developed, and then I got very, I become very comfortable with myself. I become very comfortable sharing my worst emotion with myself, right? Because being in my, you know joint family, I was staying with my joint family, and my fathers used to go outside to make money and have a good life and all. But when you are there, it's surrounded by the family members, so called female members, you know so all that curse words comes, all that, टिप्पणी बोलते हैं ना, एक ताना मारते
Yes.
हैं कि
Yes.
भाई तू तो
Very
वापस
common.
नहीं आने वाली है, तू शादी कर, तेरी तो शादी ही नहीं होने वाली है, इतना तू हंसती है ना, बहुत खराब है, तुम्हें पता भी चल रहा है तुम्हारा बिहेवियर कैसा है. So, lot of things were there, and I heard in at a very young age. So I developed this sense of it. Earlier I was very angry, like because of all this trauma and all this, bolte hain na, like bad experiences, because I never had
Yeah.
a good relationship with anyone
Negative
except myself.
conditioning, basically.
Yes. So
Yes.
that actually made me very rigid. एक बोलते हैं ना, एक बहुत ही गुस्से वाला ये लड़की बन चुकी है अभी. कुछ भी हाथ में आएगा मैं फेंक दूंगी, किसी से भी बदतमीजी कर लूंगी, कैसे भी बात कर लूंगी, कैसे भी रिएक्शन कर लूंगी. Because I never developed that, I developed this self talk. So I am aware what I'm feeling. But the journey was still there, right? I have to empathize myself. I have to regulate my emotions, right? And I have
And
to then build a relationship. So
and
long term,
regulation is the toughest part.
yes. And this what I learned when I was in US.
Hmm.
So that's the reason I covered this backstory of mine, because I want you to know that where it is coming from, right? So self awareness was always there in my life. So when I went to US, boom, I explored the world. Actually, मैं ऐसी इंसान थी कि मुझे पापा ने कभी घर के बाहर नहीं भेजा था. Okay, till graduation. Okay, I never had a friends कि मैं बाहर जाऊं, chill out करूं. ऐसा कोई concept नहीं था मेरी life में. But when I went to US by myself alone, I was like, wow, I am in heaven. एक बोलते हैं ना, जैसे वो घोड़े को बोल दिया कि या तो बोल दिया वो सिमरन को ऐसे बोलते जा सिमरन जी ले अपनी जिंदगी. So
Yes,
that type of feeling I had. I explored everything. I made friends. I made friends from a different cities, different states, right? Different backgrounds. I learned then, I learned. I started learning the approach in a different or maybe a challenging moments, how they are reacting,
hmm,
right? Because मेरा तो pattern वही था, गुस्से वाला, impulsiveness, then throwing things out. So that was my pattern, till I graduate from the college. मेरा same pattern था, because there was no one who can guide me, right? And जब same environment होता है तब आप कुछ नया सीख नहीं सकते हो, राइट?
exactly.
बिकॉज मेरा एनवायरनमेंट सेम था, मेरा फैमिली मेंबर्स भी सेम थे, मेरा कॉलेज जाना भी सेम था, वहां पे भी मैंने फ्रेंड्स नहीं बनाए क्योंकि जाना तुरंत वापस आना. आई वाज वेरी
Correct.
स्टूडेंट,
This is
राइट?
a very common thing that happens with a lot of people. Basically, आपका इमोशनल पैटर्न बन गया कि आप उतने ही
यस,
इमोशंस एक्सपीरियंस करो. इट्स नॉट इवन अबाउट द थिंग्स दैट यू आर डूइंग. पर जब आप
यस,
नए सिचुएशन में हो, नए लोगों के आसपास हो, तभी आपको पता चलेगा कि अरे ये इमोशन भी होता है.
राइट, करेक्ट,
बिकॉज
करेक्ट.
yeah, you're limited
You're
beyond
limiting
you.
belief, and you're limiting yourself also. Your thought
Yes,
process is limited. Your brain
correct.
got used to with this, भाई बॉस यही है जो है और तुम्हें
हाँ,
वैसे ही करना है, तुम्हारी लाइफ यही रहने वाली है, ठीक है? सो वो एक अपना थॉट प्रोसेस हो जाता है. तो इस ये साइकिल जो विक्टिमाइज का जो साइकिल है उसमें से बाहर निकलने के लिए यू हैव अ टू डोर्स, राइट? वन इज द लर्निंग, right? Second is, adapting a different, strategies after learning that, right? Have a new perception in your life. So when you have these two doors open, you will be, breaking that cycle of your life. Your pattern will be,
yes,
broken, and you will be able to perform well, you will be able to present well, you will be able to react well, because now you have a knowledge, राइट? यू लर्नड, अच्छा इसने ऐसे किया था ना, तो चलो अपने भी ट्राई करके देखते हैं, राइट? योर ब्रेन, ब्रेन का क्या होता है कि इट्स लाइक अ सेट. अगर आपने सुना हो सहदेव, द कैरेक्टर इन महाभारत, राइट? उसका एक ही फंडा था, वो जानता बहुत कुछ था, फ्यूचर के बारे में सब कुछ जानता था, बट कैसा है, उसको पूछे कोई तो ही वो जवाब दे, वरना उसका
mm,
नॉलेज उसके दिमाग में ही रहेगा. मैं कुछ नहीं
yes,
बताऊंगा जब तक कोई मुझे पूछे नहीं. So
correct.
that was the one condition, right? So resilience and emotional wellness and this brain work and all these things and your inner self, everything is based on this. You have to
Yes,
ask yourself. अपने आप को थोड़ा सा ऐसे बोलोगे भाई, जरूरत पड़े तो दो तीन चाटे भी लगा दो, right? Wake up, right? Wake up, stand up, just get moving, right? So these are the things will come when you will learn, you will change your environment. And this happened in US. I met multiple people, and मैंने कभी गाली नहीं बोली थी, ना कभी सुनी थी, till the time of graduation. But then I, adopted those things. I'm like, wow. I was like, protecting myself, because तब तक तो मैंने ये चीजें देखी नहीं थी, सुनी नहीं थी कभी. I never been into such situation. So I was protecting myself. I was in my shell. कि नहीं,
ऑल्सो
मुझे
द
इसमें से बाहर नहीं
एक्सपोजर
आना.
कि अभी तक
Yes.
आपको एक वो स्टैम्प और लेबल के साथ चल रहे हो कि नहीं, अगर लड़की ने गाली
Correct.
दे दी, यू आर लाइक नो, दिस इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल.
Yes.
आप ऐसे
Yes.
हो, आप वैसे हो, आप इम्पल्सिव हो, दिस इज नॉट
Correct.
गुड गर्ल बिहेवियर. बट देन यू आर
Correct.
एक्सपोज टू सिचुएशंस जो आपने पहले देखी नहीं है, वेर
Right.
थिंग्स दैट यू डू आर नॉर्मल एंड ह्यूमन,
Yes.
जो सबके
Yes.
साथ एवरीबडी एक्सप्रेस
Yes.
देमसेल्व्स इन डिफरेंट वेज. So
Yes.
it's, I think, the exposure thing, like you said about सहदेव, कि
Yes.
जब
Yes.
एक्सपोजर आएगा तब आपको पता चलेगा कि और आगे क्या
Right. Correct. And Ayushi, one more thing is there with the environment changes, adaptability. See, there
है.
are people, I have seen Guju people or Indian people in America, they are still living the same way they
Hmm.
used to live, years ago,
Yes.
right? So you have to, it is also important when you adopt new things. Just
Correct.
knowing, बोलते हैं ना कि सच जानना जरूरी नहीं होता है भाई. सच
Hmm.
जानने के बाद आप कैसे बिहेव करते हो, कोई एक्शन लेते हो कि नहीं, वो ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट होता है.
True.
करेक्ट. So this adaptability is also part of this journey. So, and then setting the boundaries, of course, having exposures. I have seen people who actually बोले ना कभी देखा नहीं और वो वाले एक्सपोजर वो सिचुएशन में आ गए तो आप मतलब पूरा ही फैल जाओगे. राइट. So you
Right.
don't have limits, right? So you need to
Yes.
set the boundaries also.
Yes.
Right?
That's a
So
big learning.
yes, yes. I remember one incident when I was invited from one of my American friend, and it was a late night party, the house warming party, not in a pub or anything. It was a regular normal house party. Okay,
Hmm.
so I went there, with the expectations that ये मजा आएगा, friends को मिलेंगे, music होगा, dance करेंगे, ये वो, and then games and all that stuff.
Yeah.
When I went there, all this were there, but when I was leaving the party I witnessed such a horrible thing that that could have been impacted my personality. It could have impacted or damaged my impression, my identity, right? Because sometimes what happened, like I said, that with exposure you should have a set of sense of setting the boundaries. You should know
Boundaries.
your
Yeah.
limits as well, right?
Hmm.
So after that incident I set the boundaries for myself. ओके, पार्टीज तो करनी है, जाना भी है, एंजॉय भी करना है, फुल टू नाइट एंजॉय भी करना है, सब करना है, बट विद इन दीज बाउंड्रीज दैट, फॉर एग्जाम्पल, you are in the situations where your values, your ethics are not agreeing to it, right?
Hmm.
So for example, let's say about me only, it's going to be very bold statement, but I would still say it. Having a multiple physical relationship, it's against my ethics, okay, against my values. Because setting boundaries, उसका मतलब वो भी नहीं है कि आप अपना मतलब बोलते बोलते ना एक अंदर शेल में ही रहो पूरा टाइम और
Hmm.
लिमिट हो गया बस हो गया मेरे वॉल्स है अभी इसके बाद तो मैं निकलूंगी ही नहीं. ऐसा नहीं है, right? You have to set the boundaries, but the healthy boundaries that you know that this is against your values, against your ethics, right? So that is called a setting boundaries. So if somebody asks me that it has happened now, I would come back to my professional career. It has happened many times. People have asked me out, many a times people have asked me to have a physical relationship, right? Being a woman and being in the sales field, you know the sales is something that people know that you are in need. टारगेट तो अचीव करना ही है, पता है मुझे, सामने वाले को पता है कि हितल को टारगेट्स तो अचीव करना ही है. दिस इज हर नीड, राइट? बट नीड का फायदा उठाना और उससे कैसे अपने को बचना है, that is what I call a setting a boundaries,
Boundaries.
right? So this is something which I would not go for it. There are many women who do
Yes.
it. There are many men who do it, but it's my record that 15 years I have never taken or never chosen that path for a success.
Wow.
So this is
Awesome.
my integrity. Even till today, like couple of days ago only, I got a proposal from someone who was asking me for a coffee date. I'm like, excuse me, right? So it happens. It's like very
Yes.
normal when you're working woman and you are a woman. You have to
Yeah.
accept.
Yes. This is the reality.
Yes.
Like
It's an
irritating
ugly
reality, but
truth. I would say
ugly truth.
ugly
Yeah.
truth of this industry.
Yes. Thank you so
Though
much for
we all,
addressing this issue, because I know it takes a lot of courage. So yeah,
yes,
thank you for this.
yes.
Speaking of your corporate career, like a very brief, just an outlook, because I don't want to dive deeper into this. But like कि कैसा है हमारा इंडिया का corporate career overall, just in a brief, like in a nutshell. कि ये चीजें हैं, दिस इज यू शुड एक्सपेक्ट, अगर आप कॉर्पोरेट करियर में एंटर कर रहे हो ये तो होना ही है। और ऑफ कोर्स देयर हैज टू बी सम बून्स एंड सम पेन्स, तो क्या ऐसी चीजें हैं जो और हम इम्प्रूव अभी कर सकते हैं? तो जस्ट अ क्विक ओवरव्यू ऑफ दिस।
So let me talk about the reality first, right?
यस।
The reality of this corporate world. Number one, if you are a woman, you have to be alert
ट्रू।
all the time, no matter where you are, no matter, with whom you are dealing or in which department you are. You have to be stay alert, right? This is the number one thing that every woman should, you know, focus on and should be
या इट्स अ
adopting it.
गिवन, इट्स अ
It's a
नेसेसिटी।
given thing, right? Number two is you have to accept, and become a flexible. Okay. Why I'm saying is because there are still a discriminations happen in corporate culture. Even though today we are, नारा लेके चल रहे हैं कि equality, all the women and men are equal, pay scales should be equal, the responsibility should be equal. There are a lot of things that HR have come up with, right? But at the ground level, this will happen, right? The discrimination will happen. You have to accept it. You have to move forward and be a flexible of it, right? Why flexible? Because it will not hamper your mental health. If you will become rigid,
यस,
it will
करेक्ट।
impact your mental health, your overall well-being. So that's the reason. You have to remember that job is part of your life. It's not everything. And I have learned this after I entered in a coaching industry, right? It acts because I used to be जैसे भगवान है मेरे. Job is like my भगवान. Job is like everything for me. I have, sacrificed a lot of my personal, events. I have, sacrificed a lot of moments where I supposed to be there, but my job is demanding me to be present in work. Then I have always give a priority to my work. But balancing these two things, it's very much important. You have
यस।
to give an equal importance to your personal growth, your mental well-being, your personal life, and your family members.
Yes.
So this
So
is
this
two
is
things.
like work-life balance. But
Work-life
how do
balance.
you attain this? How do you approach this? How you can fragment this?
Okay. So how you can segment is first of all setting the boundaries again, right?
Yes,
Setting
correct.
the boundaries, that means that you know that you have to prioritize your work. Okay, you have certain responsibilities when you're working. You have your job roles have a 5 or 10 KPIs, right? Your key performance things that you need to prioritize that. So for me, what I do is I write a lot. Okay, I have completed 2 diaries in this year just for the sake of it. Okay, so when I go to office in the morning only, I write down what are my tasks that should be completed today within the timeline. I will not stay at work after 6:30. That's my, of course, my official hours. But if somebody is at 7 o'clock, that's fine. So I meant to say is within the office hours, you should complete your work, your task, and your responsibilities. You have to deliver those things.
Yes.
So company is happy with you, right? Your boss will never call you like after office hours. My boss never calls me after office hours that Hetal ये बाकी रह गया तुमने ये नहीं किया तुम काम छोड़. कभी मैंने ये नहीं सुना है. Because I know what is their expectations. I
Yes.
know that what is my priority, and I know what is my timeline. These three things is very much important when you are prioritizing your work and you are balancing your work life, your personal life and your work. So
Yes.
these three things at a work level. Then coming to the personal life, you have to, communicate clearly with your family members.
Hmm.
Okay, they should they should not have like a high expectations from you, right?
Yes.
So,
Again,
so I'm
setting the
married.
boundaries, base level.
Exactly. Exactly. So even my father, let's say my father never asked me, for to attend any functions when I have to be in the meetings or I have to attend my, conferences at work. And he knows that for me, office hours and working hours, these are more important for me than the events. Correct? Because हाँ, अगर वो बहुत ज्यादा close है events, बहुत ज्यादा मतलब it's about your responsibilities and your priority again. You have to set the priority there as well, and you have to set the clear expectations with your family members कि ये है, आपको इतना ही एक्सपेक्ट करना है. करेक्ट? बिकॉज अगर
Correct.
वो हाई एक्सपेक्टेशन रखेंगे, फिर आपका बॉस भी हाई एक्सपेक्टेशन रखेगा, तो फिर आपकी खुद की एक्सपेक्टेशंस कहाँ है? यू
फिर
लॉस्ट इन दिस टू बिटवीन.
पिस
तो
गया,
मुझे
पूरा पिस
नहीं
गया.
लगता सैंडविच नहीं बनना है हमें.
Okay.
राइट. यस.
Awesome. This again leads to the next obvious thing कि इतना सब जब हम बैलेंस कर रहे हैं, ऑफ कोर्स कॉर्पोरेट में या कोई भी, इनफैक्ट ऑलमोस्ट इन ऑल जॉब्स, बहुत प्रेशर है कि बहुत कुछ हैंडल करना है. और फिर रिलेशनशिप्स रिक्वायर इक्वल अमाउंट ऑफ एफर्ट. आप नहीं उसको
यस.
लाइटली ले सकते कि चलो फैमिली मेंबर्स है या हस्बैंड है या मदर इन लॉ है, दे विल एडजस्ट. You have to give a certain amount of effort to the relationships also, which in turn leads to burnout, which is your key part that you teach people in your community. So how do you go about it?
Okay, so burnout, burnout is the thing that created by the personal life as well, the circumstances and the official circumstances as well. And when,
Yes.
like I said, become a sandwich, it's pressuring you, right? Both the side, the pressure is equal, and you are burning into it, right?
Yes.
So this is the stage where we call it burnout.
Burnout.
You don't have a clear, you don't know what to do. You're clueless. Your mind is stopped working. बोलते हैं
Yeah.
ना यार, मेरा दिमाग काम करना बंद हो गया, मेरा दिमाग खराब मत कर, तू अलग ही जा. अपने कभी कभी बोल देते हैं ये, राइट? तो क्यों बोलते हैं? वो स्टेज कब आता है? जब ऑल दिस एलिमेंट्स यू आर नॉट टेकिंग केयर ऑफ इट. वर्क लाइफ बैलेंस है, क्लियर एक्सपेक्टेशंस है, क्लियर कम्युनिकेशंस है with your spouse, with your family members, with your even in-laws as well, right? And that's, again, I would go out of the box, that relationship, it's again the other part of it. But relationship, when it comes to a relationship, you have to have a clear communication with your partner,
Yes.
right? And there you have to tell what is your expectations. Correct. So these two things are very important when it comes to prioritizing yourself, right? So in burnout, first thing is you prioritize your own emotions, right? What you're feeling. Why are you feeling this? Are you feeling because you're not able to say no to your family, or maybe say no to your boss? When you are pleasing, you're always say yes, 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 yes to everyone and say no to yourself, right? So people pleasing नहीं बनना है हमें. ठीक है, हम सबके गुड बुक्स में नहीं आ सकते. तो
Correct.
train yourself to say no when the time
Boundary.
comes. Say
Yes.
no to your workplace, say no to your boss, or maybe your family members as well. Okay, so say no, it's the primary thing that you should do it. Then again, the adaptability, flexibility, you have to accept that yes, this is the reality of my working hours, this is the reality of that. And you have to communication, because communication is a very base of any kind of relationship.
Everything. Almost
Yes,
everything.
exactly. You have to clear set goals कि मुझे ये goals है मेरे personal life में, और मेरे ये goals है मेरे professional life में,
अच्छा, अब
right?
पर्सनल प्रोफेशनल तो हो गया, लेकिन बीच में एक और चीज आती है विच वी कॉल सेल्फ केयर, या हमारी मेंटल फिजिकल हेल्थ
Yes.
फिटनेस. अब इतने
Yes.
सबके बीच में उसके लिए कहाँ से हम जगह बनाए?
करेक्ट. अभी सबसे पहले मैं ये बोलूंगी कि सेल्फ केयर का मतलब अभी ऐसा हो गया ना कि लोग ऐसा सोचेंगे कि भाई मैं ब्यूटी पार्लर में चली जाती हूँ, 10,000 20,000 खर्च करके आ जाती हूँ, या फिर मैं शॉपिंग कर लेती हूँ, कुछ मोस्ट एक्सपेंसिव चीज खरीद लेती हूँ, एंड देन माय सेल्फ केयर इज सेटिस्फाइड. और मे बी सी, सेल्फ केयर समटाइम्स मिसअंडरस्टूड, राइट, बाय द
या,
पीपल. एंड
वेरी
इट कैन
ऑफन
लीड,
इनफैक्ट.
yes, and it can lead to a very negative results in your future,
यस.
right? So I'm giving very bold example here. One of my community member, come up with the problems in the relationship, right? They both love each other, right? But the problem is that person is not giving time to her, the quality time, right? So then what she started doing is self care. मुझे किसी की भी जरूरत नहीं. अच्छा, ये भी एक चीज है, आपको अगर याद हो या आपने ऑब्जर्व किया हो, सेल्फ केयर तभी याद आता है जब आप ब्रेकअप होता है, या फिर किसी ने आपको इंसल्ट कर दिया है, या तो रिजेक्शन होता है आपका, या तो रिलेशनशिप में फाइट हो गई है, राइट? ऑल दिस
करेक्ट.
सिचुएशन में सेल्फ केयर ऐसे उभर के आता है जैसे वाओ, यही है एक चीज मेरे लिए, और यही मुझे पार, मेरी नैया यही पार लगाए, राइट?
बस अब
बट
बाकी कुछ नहीं चाहिए.
बाकी कुछ नहीं चाहिए. बट सेल्फ केयर का मतलब ये नहीं है कि आप अपने आप को फील गुड करवाओ, सिर्फ ये मतलब नहीं है. दिस इज पार्ट ऑफ इट, बट
Yes.
सिर्फ ये मतलब नहीं, राइट? सो इफ समबडी आस्क मी व्हाट इज सेल्फ केयर फॉर मी सेल्फ केयर इज कॉन्फिडेंस. When I'm confident, I know that I can win any battle, right? And winning my battles, winning my day to day life and the challenges, overcoming with the challenges and adversities, that's my self care, right? Number two is learning and, reading books
Awesome.
online, watching the, any videos like Dr. Joe Dispenza or any neurologist or any, which is my
Yes.
interest actually, right? So if I'm watching those videos, that is a self care for me. I'm like, wow, like, orgasm just feeling आती है तब मैं learning.
Nice. Basically, giving your heart what it requires and needs.
Exactly,
That
exactly.
is
Like, exactly, not just like doing something that, okay, जो temporary है, right? शॉपिंग
yes.
करना टेम्पररी फीलिंग से आपको सेटिस्फाई कर लेगी, फिर वो सलून में जाके मेकअप वेकअप कर लो, फेशियल वेशियल कर लो, हेयर बना लो, वो टेम्पररी है. आपने कभी नोटिस
Yes.
किया होगा कि लोग हेयर कट करवा लेते हैं अपना लुक चेंज करने के लिए, आफ्टर फ्यू डेज दे विल बी लाइक, यार मैंने क्या हेयर कट करवा लिया, यू नो,
Yes.
मैंने क्यों करवाया ये, राइट? So this happened. So because those are a temporary change that you are making it to make you feel good, right? But think actually what is giving you happiness. Is it traveling, or maybe spending a quality time with your friends, or maybe just sitting with your spouse and talking about your problems and get the solution out of it, or maybe, telephonic conversation when you are like overwhelmed, and let's have my mentor, let's have my coach, or let's have my buddy to listen all my crap. एक pep talk होता है, एक
Yes.
self talk
Perfect.
होता है, pep talk होता है. pep talk में क्या है कि आप पूरे फैल जाते हो, गाली वाली निकलती है, और एकदम मतलब मस्त होकर अपने बात करते हैं, बैक बिचिंग भी कर लो, किसी भी की करनी, right? So
Correct.
all this laptop है, ये traveling है, these are the quality, and this will impact positively and for the longer time,
Longer.
for the
True.
temporary. So this is the definition for me, the self care is.
Awesome. This was, I think, the most brilliant part. ये मेरा key takeaway होने वाला है इस podcast
हाँ,
episode में से कि do what your heart desires. जो आपको actually
exactly,
दिल से खुश कर रहा है वो आपका self care है.
exactly,
ना कि ये
exactly.
shenanigans जिसके पीछे हम भागते रहते हैं.
Yes,
What is
yes,
actually good for you is your self care.
yes, yes.
Awesome. अब relationship is your like key strength is what I feel. और इसके लिए मैंने काफी लोगों से कुछ क्वेश्चंस पूछे तो मैंने ढूंढ के
Mm.
निकाले हैं कि ये
Okay,
कॉमन चीज है दैट हैपेंस. सो आई एम गिविंग यू सिनेरियो कि सपोज इफ अ पर्सन इज इन अ रिलेशनशिप विद एन इमोशनली अनअवेलेबल पर्सन, क्योंकि हमारा की फोकस क्या है कि इमोशनल कोशेंट को अगर हम इंक्रीज करते हैं तो हमारी
correct,
पूरी लाइफ और लाइफस्टाइल इम्पैक्ट होता है. इट्स अ की
correct.
फैक्ट. तो अगर वो पर्सन जिसके साथ हम इतना कनेक्टेड है, इतनी एक्सपेक्टेशन है, और शी इज इमोशनली अनअवेलेबल, सो इज देयर अ वे टू इम्प्रूव द सिचुएशन?
All right. So you have to be ready for the harsh facts as well. Okay.
This is not my question.
When-
You can
Yeah.
shut.
So when the person is emotionally unavailable, so what you can do is you can identify his pattern. Okay.
Mhm.
Everyone has a pattern.
Correct.
Expressing their emotions, expressing their love, expressing their, their inner, बोलते हैं ना, एक थॉट्स जो होते हैं, या फिर एक केयर होता है सामने वाले को दिखाने का, एक अलग ही तरीका होता है, राइट?
Yes.
तो वो
Or the
तरीके
opposite
को,
also, repressing the same things.
yes, yes. So there are types of people who actually are over expressive. If I consider myself, I'm an over expressive person,
Yes.
right? I express in any situation overly. Like I never limit myself कि नहीं नहीं मुझे ये नहीं बोलना चाहिए था, right? Because when you express fully, you're taking out everything from your head, right? So your mind is now empty कि भाई हाँ चलो हो गया, है ना, अभी दूसरा कुछ सोचते हैं, correct? So
Yes.
when you, and this technique can work when you're overwhelmed and anxiety, you are having, anxious about anything, you can use this technique of it.
Yes.
So coming to your point is relationship में, तो matter करता है first, are you committed? Right? That's the number one. Because see, when you're committed, then the, repercussion is different. The
Yes.
situation is different. You
Yes.
have, your
True.
approach should be different, right? But if you are not committed, then let me give you an example. You might have watched that movie, I Love Zindagi or something. Yeah, I Love You Zindagi something.
Dear Zindagi.
Dear Zindagi, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So उसमें शाहरुख खान क्या बोलते हैं कि भाई चेंज करते रहो कुर्सियां, ठीक है?
There, yeah.
ये, अच्छा उसने तो बोल दिया, बहुत सारे लोगों ने इम्प्लीमेंट भी कर दिया, ठीक है? बट ये इम्प्लीमेंट में it's a fire, okay? You are playing with your emotions.
Yes.
Understand? You're changing kursiyan, you're changing chairs, but what, every time you change the chairs, you are having those emotions left out, right? You have that experience, right? Whether
Yes.
it is bad, good, or anything, disappointment or sadness or
Yeah.
anything, heartbreak, rejection, anything,
कोई ना
right?
कोई माँ की इमोशन रह जाएगा.
Exactly. So, better to have a self awareness first. You commit to yourself, you be clear about yourself first, then the other person. Okay, so I repeat again that, journey always starts with you and with yourself, right? With your inner self. So first of all, you need to understand that you have to clear about it. Are you sure about that person? And when you are saying that sure about it, there are checklists. Okay, though it sounds very practical, very
Love.
harsh
Yeah.
and very bad, बट भाई जिंदगी का यही रियलिटी है, ठीक है? कोई लव अपने को खाना नहीं देगा, ठीक है? कोई इमोशंस अपने को खाना नहीं देगा,
Yeah. And
राइट?
emotions
क्या,
are temporary. They do change.
एग्जैक्टली, द स्किल्स दैट पर्सन हैज, द पोटेंशियल दैट पर्सन हैज फॉर फ्यूचर, फॉर मेकिंग हिज करियर. Third, is he available for me? Is he capable to handle my
Handle.
emotional level?
Perfect.
That is a third major thing that people should look after it, you know. And अभी ऐसा है कि अभी तक ऐसा था कि whenever you are, finalizing your partner or maybe you are in relationship, people only think about two things maximum. और वो भी थोड़ा सा प्रैक्टिकल होगा तो ही वो दूसरा चीज सोचेगा, वरना पहला एक ही सोचेगा, यार आई लव हिम, ही लुक सो गुड, ही इज बिहेविंग सो गुड, ही इज लाइक ट्रीटिंग मी सो गुड. But these are very temporary, bhai. Looks will fade away, right? उसका अप्रोच भी तुम्हारे लिए चेंज हो ही जाएगा आफ्टर सम टाइम. जो बोलते
Yes.
हैं ना, वो चेयर खींचते हैं जब रेस्टोरेंट में जाते हैं, हाँ मैडम बैठो. गाड़ी में जाते हैं तो दरवाजा खोलते हैं, हाँ मैडम बैठिए अंदर. वो सारी चीजें टेम्पररी है. Though it is very important element for the first impression and of the gentleman, बट थिंक अबाउट इट, क्या ये टेम्पररी अप्रोच है या परमानेंट अप्रोच है?
Yes. Very key
ओके,
part.
यस. सो डोंट थिंक अबाउट एट दिस मोमेंट कि भाई वो इमोशनली अनअवेलेबल है, ठीक है, गॉट इट. आई एम सो ग्लैड दैट वन पर्सन इज अवेयर ऑफ दैट, राइट? अभी उसका सेकेंडरी ऑप्शन क्या है, उसके ऑप्शंस क्या है, उसका ऑल्टरनेटिव क्या है? क्या वो कोई कोई और मतलब कोई और चीज से वो एक्सप्रेस करता है?
अगेन लाइक इट्स कनेक्टेड टू एवरीथिंग कि एक सेल्फ अवेयर है देन इट्स रिजिडिटी है, वो
Yes,
फ्लेक्सिबल है, आर दे विलिंग टू
yes,
चेंज, कैन दे अडेप्ट, सो इट्स
yes.
एवरीथिंग इज इंटरकनेक्टेड.
Everything, like I said, everything is in one, this 4 5 elements. Self
Yes,
awareness, अपना regulate करो, फिर empathize करो, relationship management करो. Relationship management तभी होगा जब आप ये सारी 3 चीजें अपने दिमाग में सेट करके आए हो.
yes,
जब खुद
correct,
ही नहीं हो, अपने खुद के लिए एम्पथाइज नहीं हो आप, तो दूसरे से कैसे एक्सपेक्ट करते कि भाई
expect
वो
कर सकते.
इमोशनली अवेलेबल नहीं.
Correct,
भाई मैं
guys,
खुद ही
you
नहीं
got the
हूँ
answer
इमोशनल
here.
अवेलेबल. राइट.
Compatibility over infatuation, that's it.
Exactly. Infatuation is very temporary. Compatibility is based on many, criterias.
Criterias.
Okay. Do not jump into conclusion.
Yes,
Give it time, and time will decide the person's attributes, and the reality जो होती है ना, वो कभी ना कभी बाहर आ ही जाती है.
correct.
आप मेकअप कर सकते हो, मल्टीपल मास्क हो सकता है आपके चेहरे पे. यार मुझे आयुषी को ये पसंद है ना, मैं ऐसे ही बिहेव करूंगा. आयुषी को वो चाहती है ना, मैं वैसे ही करूंगा. बट वो टेम्पररी करेगा.
Correct.
ठीक है. परमानेंट क्या है? परमानेंट उसका रियल नेचर क्या है?
अब इसके
अंडरस्टैंड.
साथ कंपैटिबिलिटी में और भी बहुत सी चीजें साइड लाइन चल रही है, स्पेशली इन द जेनजीज और अभी जो हमारी अल्फा
फाइनेंशियली.
जनरेशन है कि
यस.
वो तो सब ठीक है, लोग इतने लॉजिकल तो हो गए यार, दे कैलकुलेट एवरीथिंग. बट अब ये नया कॉन्सेप्ट लॉन्च हुआ है सिचुएशनशिप का, विच इज आई डोंट like
व्हाट इज इट
demoralizing
अगेन?
or situationship. Basically, when you are exploring each other to date, but you're not
हाँ.
actually dating. So it's somewhere in between. Friendship, relationship के बीच में कहीं पे. और इसके इतने सारे tangents है कि हम count नहीं कर सकते. So I'm not supporting or like demoralizing this या cribbing, but it's
Because
just a
आप नहीं
concept.
कर सकते हो, क्योंकि आपको खुद किसी को नहीं पता है. इट्स नॉट
Yeah.
यू. नोबडी नोज कि उसका एंड गोल क्या है. ठीक है, बहुत सारी
Yes.
मूवीज आ गई है आजकल कि
Correct.
भाई आज के में रहो, डेस्टिनेशन पे जाते हैं, किसी और की शादी में जाते हैं, डेस्टिनेशन में फॉल इन लव, दे हैव एवरीथिंग, दे स्टार्टेड डेटिंग ईच अदर, एंड देन कम्स टू द रियलाइजेशन, राइट? So see,
Yes.
I would say the ideal example of that movie, that recently Ranbir Kapoor and this
Shraddha
girl
Kapoor.
Shraddha Kapoor, yes.
Yeah. तू झूठी मक्का, something.
हाँ, something like that, right? So that movie is actually talking about the realities. वो
Yes.
कोई नाइन्थ क्लाउड वाला नहीं दिखा रहे हैं, आपको रियलिटी दिखा रहा है. आई एम नॉट प्रमोटिंग एनीथिंग, बट आई एम जस्ट सेइंग दैट कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ दैट मूवी वाज द सेम. कि पहले आप एक दूसरे के लिए मतलब फील करते हो, अट्रैक्ट हो जाते हो, इन्फेक्चुएट हो जाते हो, फिर आप एक दूसरे को अच्छे लगने लगते हो, फिर ज्यादा एक स्टेप बढ़ता है कि भाई हम डेट करना शुरू करते हैं. दैट्स अ सेकंड स्टेप. थर्ड स्टेप इज कम टू द रियलिटी चेक.
Hmm.
ओके. कि भाई तेरी फैमिली मेरी फैमिली कंपैटिबल है. इट्स नॉट अबाउट ओनली योर कंपैटिबिलिटी, इट इज अबाउट योर compatibility as well, right? How you have raised, that is also matter.
Very much.
आपके मम्मी पापा ने आपको कैसे परवरिश दी है, उसको कैसे दी है, वो भी मैटर करता है.
True.
करेक्ट. बिकॉज वो सारी चीजें उसके थॉट्स पे, थॉट पैटर्न पे, उसके बिलीफ सिस्टम पे, उसके वैल्यूज पे अफेक्ट करता है ना. परवरिश आपकी आपकी जैसी होगी, उस हिसाब से आपका बिलीफ सिस्टम होगा, आपका वैल्यूज सेट होगा, आपका नेचर होगा, और आपका कुछ अप्रोच होगा जिंदगी के बारे में, राइट? सो
Right.
ऑल दिस थिंग्स, बड़े बड़े जो शब्द है और बड़े बड़े जो कॉन्सेप्ट है, वो आपके चाइल्डहुड से निकल के आते हैं.
Yes, that
ओके.
is very true.
यस. सो टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस कॉन्सेप्ट, जो लिव इन का तो अभी पुराना हो चुका है, अभी ये सिचुएशन वाला है, राइट? सो करो, these are the types of initiating things, right?
Yes, but
But when
ultimately
it
it leads to
comes
the
to,
same thing
yes,
कि आप permanent कहाँ तक देख पाते.
exactly. So first half, जो first 50% है, वो आप कोई भी वे से अंदर आ जाओ, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है.
हाँ,
बट
correct.
जब आप
Just
निकल रहे हो वो टनल से, वो मेन इम्पोर्टेंट है कि आप कैसे निकल रहे हो, कैसे डिसीजन ले रहे हो. ओके.
अब इसी
होप
से
दिस
एक और
आंसर.
प्रॉब्लम. Yes, that was amazing. That was very deep, जो बहुत 2-3 बार देखने के बाद लोगों को समझ में आएगा. बट इससे एक और प्रॉब्लम निकल के आती है कि कमिटमेंट इश्यूज, ये भी एक बहुत कॉमन चीज है विच इज वैलिड आई वुड से, कि लाइक यू सेड कि ज्यादातर इश्यूज जो है वो चाइल्डहुड से निकल के आते हैं. सो कमिटमेंट फियर इज वन ऑफ देम. अब ठीक है, आपने एनालाइज किया, आपने कैलकुलेट किया, यू सी द पर्सन, मे बी दिस कैन वर्क, मे बी दिस कैन नॉट वर्क, पर जब आपको कमिटमेंट का ही फियर है, हाउ विल यू गेट टू द स्टेज व्हेन यू गेट टू नो इफ दिस इज गोना वर्क और इफ इट विल नॉट? So how to
Okay.
deal with this?
Okay. So before I answer that question, I have to know that commitment करने में fear क्या है?
Right.
What type of fear you have? Is it a stability problem? Is it a self-doubt? Is it other person's, compatibility, or maybe trust issues, right? Or maybe that your self belief is that कि यार मेरा तो नसीब ही खराब है, मेरा कभी लॉन्ग टर्म रिलेशनशिप रहा ही नहीं है, जो मेरा कभी रहता था, मतलब if I talk about me,
Oh,
that I
please
had a
do
self
enlighten
belief.
us with all your breakup stories. उससे better example नहीं होते.
Right. So I had multiple breakups, I have to admit that. And why I had multiple? Because first, I was impulsive. Okay. Second, I never thought of a future. Even my tattoo also says that live in the present
The
moment.
moment, yeah.
Yeah. So I've always
This
believed in
is
that कि भाई अभी करना है, अभी अभी खुश है ना, बहुत हो गया, बाद में देख लेंगे अपने, ठीक है। वो जो देख लेंगे वाला एटीट्यूड है ना, वो आपको थर्टीज में पता चलता है, राइट? व्हेन यू आर अर्ली।
impulsive girl syndrome बहुत भारी पड़ता है. Yeah, been there.
Yes, yes. So what happens? Like even I also talk about the age is just the number. So, but
Yeah.
it's not about age. It's about the experiences, the maturity
Yes.
level.
Correct.
How much you have learned from your past experiences, right? That makes you wise, right? So my experiences were like couple of people were not ready to, were not that actually. Okay, there was a domestic violence. It's real. And possessiveness. Okay. So जब आई एम वेरी फिल्मी टाइप ऑफ पर्सन, जब मैं फिल्में बहुत देखती हूँ, मुझे बहुत
So
ऐसा होता है कि
that's
मैं
why we
ज्यादा।
connect. We are basically impulsiveness, filmy, और वो ओवर एक्सप्रेशन, वो जो
एग्जैक्टली,
क्या टिकटॉक वाला
एग्जैक्टली।
कि या तो एकदम रिजर्व हो जाएंगे या एकदम एक्सप्रेस कर देंगे.
Right.
I
So
relate.
yeah, that comes to my point is like I always seen a black and white. So now I have learned there is a gray part also. It's not only black and white. So that's the another theory that we will discuss later. But yeah, coming to the breakup part is I always thought that मेरा boyfriend ना मतलब possessive होना चाहिए. बाय गॉड, मतलब ऐसे, मतलब अगर मैं किसी के सामने देखूं तो भी मतलब ऐसे बोल, क्या कर रहे हो यार, मैं यहाँ पे खड़ा हूँ, व्हाई यू आर लुकिंग एट समवन,
अरे
दैट वाज गिविंग मी अ सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी दैट पॉइंट। मुझे ऐसा लगता था, वाह यार, देखा अपने पास कोई बंदा है, जैसे बॉडीगार्ड टाइप फीलिंग आती थी। ओके। सो सो देन इट बिकम्स एक्सट्रीम, because in relationship or in friendship even, or even in with anyone, when you allow someone to treat yourself at one level, that level increase in future. Understand? It's
yes.
like, बोलते हैं ना कि आप किसी और को ऐसे ट्रीट करो जैसे आपको खुद को जैसे ट्रीट होना है,
Yes,
राइट?
correct.
तो अगर आप खुद ही एक्सेप्ट कर रहे हो ये पजेसिवनेस, एक लेवल तक मैंने एक्सेप्ट कर लिया,
Mm.
राइट? ये यार मजा आ रहा है इसमें, तो बहुत मजा आ रहा है, लाइक आई जस्ट मेंशन अर्लियर दैट चेंजिंग द चेयर्स इज द फायर, एंड दिस इज माय पर्सनल एक्सपीरियंस, राइट? व्हाई आई एम सेइंग फायर इज कि आप प्ले, बोलते हैं ना, आपके आग के साथ तुम खेल रहे हो, राइट? आग क्यों है? कि वो इमोशंस है,
Mm.
right? This
Correct.
emotions you are putting on the stake
Yeah,
because
it
of your filmy thing, you
true.
know,
It can
your,
either make you thrive or it can burn you for life.
yes, yes, absolutely. So when you are in a cloud nine and your fairy tale wala stories chal raha hai, tab tak to theek hai. But when that level cross, and then you realize, and even then also you're not realizing it. I have gone through it actually. That's the reason I'm sharing. I came out from that relationship, and that too, I would say that I'm blessed. Every time I'm blessed that God saved me, right? And maybe my self awareness skill saved me. or else, it could have been very disaster of my life. And this is real. And that's the reason I'm saying that playing with the emotion, it's like you're playing with the fire.
Yeah.
Don't mess up with your emotions,
Be
right?
as realistic as possible.
Yes, because your brain will pick up that emotion and it will trap you for years.
Yes.
Okay. So it's a science actually. It is not that I am saying it, it's a science. Okay. I read and I listen a lot of things about brain performance and how
Yes.
brain works. So that's why it is my interest. It's like my core interest.
Yes.
I learned, right? So that's how my self awareness and my blessings, I would say my God blessings, supported me to come out from these situations. Because having a physical violence, when somebody is having that domestic violence, it's the extreme level,
Yeah.
right?
Non-negotiable. Just
cannot you
yeah.
cannot accept
Cannot.
that at any cost. Okay, at any cost, at any level of your relationship, whether you are having children, whether you are pregnant, whether that person is like begging to you to be with him or her, you cannot accept this. Because the moment you will accept, it will become more extreme level.
Correct.
You are giving a right to that person,
Yes.
right?
Again the boundaries कि आपने बोला कि ये यहाँ तक चलता है,
Yes,
अरे कोई नहीं, माफ कर
yes.
दिया तो फिर नेक्स्ट लेवल,
आपको चाहिए
अच्छा फिर माफ कर दिया, like you
फिर
are
से माफ
accepting
कर दो.
everything, you're
Yes,
basically
you're
just
becoming a victim actually, and
yeah.
you are getting trapped into that cycle. So you have to
Yes.
break that cycle, right? So domestic violence, so that was my one relationship. So I came out from there. And then the second one was like commitment issue. So here I was committed, but the other person was not
Oh,
committed
that's
and was
even
not
worse.
ready. Yes, was not ready to have a commitment level with me and have a marriage decisions. So, and that was lagging for years. Okay. Then I realized it was painful for me because it was the longest relationship I ever had in my life. But that taught me, okay, being in that relationship taught me the self-worth, right? The you don't have to let down yourself first. Your self-respect is the utmost priority for you. It should be. When the other person is not ready to commit to you, then there has to be reasons, right? But even if you are asking and the other person is not sharing the reasons, that means it's the end. It's a
Yeah.
dead end,
There is no
right?
trust.
There's no waiting. Like, you will wait for how long,
Yeah.
right? And that has to be answered by the other person, right? So coming to your point is, when you are saying that you have a commitment issue, then you have to find out the fear, like what type of fear you have, or reason, I would say, right?
Yes. Correct.
You are identifying as a fear or maybe the reason. There has to be reason for anything that you don't want to do it or you want to do it. So
Yes.
again, the self awareness.
Correct.
Talk to yourself, identify what exactly is it, your backstory, or is it your family member's story, is it your past experiences, or is it from your dear ones or your friend circle's experiences. It is coming from this and your environment only,
Correct. Again, like
right?
reflect, go to the source, correct the problem, and then approach the situation again.
Yes, yes, yes.
Awesome.
So, and
Awesome.
yeah, and the certainty, you said that, okay, how to decide, like, whether it is a right for me or wrong for me, right? So, first of all, you do a self awareness. Then that point only, do you do a analysis paralysis, everything you have done, pros and cons, compatibility check कर लिया, सब कुछ check कर लिया, फिर एक conclusion पे आप आते हो, right? आपको लगता है कि शायद मुझे chance देना चाहिए ये relationship को, right? You have to see, you don't have to be biased. First of all, self awareness में आपको brutal real होना पड़ेगा अपने आप से. You cannot be कि यार pampering myself और self awareness है तो गुडी गुडी चीज जो मुझे सुननी है वो मैं सुना दूंगी. वैसा नहीं करना है। अपने आप को वो रियलिटी, अपने को अपोजिट भी बोलना पड़ेगा। एक होता है ना, एक आपका कैरेक्टर है इनसाइड यू।
यस,
जैसे
करेक्ट।
मैंने टैग किया है कि दैट पर्सन इज लाइक माय गॉड, माय बडी, राइट? सो यू कैन से दैट योर गार्डियन एंजल और योर इनर सेल्फ, कि आपका सबकॉन्शियस माइंड, जो भी आपको लेबल करना है,
Hmm,
राइट? बट
that's
इट
a
इज योर इनर
great
सेल्फ।
technique.
यस,
Yes,
सो इट्स योर इनर सेल्फ। यू हैव टू लेबल इट। क्या है इनर सेल्फ? क्या है ये? HD वर्जन 2 है, या फिर ये सेल्फ गार्डियन है, या गार्डियन एंजल है, या पापा
yes,
है, या कौन? राइट? तो लेबल इट। व्हेन यू विल लेबल इट ना, इट विल बी become easy to communicate with yourself, right? So when you
awesome.
communicate with yourself, you have to be real, you know, and even a worst situation को भी आपको expose करना है, उसको भी रियलिटी मतलब सोचना है, उसके बारे में भी सोचना है, नॉट ओनली गुडी गुडी थिंग्स। देन
Nice.
ओनली द अनबायस्ड कंक्लूजन विल कम अप, राइट?
Awesome. फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल थैंक यू सो मच। मुझे नहीं लगता कि मैंने किसी से भी इतने इलेबोरेट तरीके से रिलेशनशिप टॉक की होगी आज तक। Like any person, forget about the podcast, it's just started, but this was like really deep and meaningful. So thank you so much for that. और अब आपके एक्सपीरियंस सुन के मुझे समझ में आ रहा है कि आपके जो इतने सारे पर्सनालिटी फ्रेगमेंट्स है जो मुझे इतने पसंद है, वो यहाँ तक
यस,
पहुंचे कैसे।
करेक्ट,
So
करेक्ट।
this was basically a full-on journey of personality development and embracement also. कि
यस,
जो जो हुआ है हैंडल कैसे किया है, कैसे यहाँ तक पहुंचे, एंड यही आगे भी करते रहेंगे।
करेक्ट। बिकॉज एवरी टाइम सी, अगर आप अपने आप को भी पूछोगे ना, तो आपके चाइल्डहुड में एक ऐसा पैशन हमेशा रहा होगा, या तो आप टॉकेटिव होंगे, या तो आपको ये बनना होगा, या तो वो बनना होगा, और ट्रस्ट मी, वो जो बनना होगा वाला जो फीलिंग है ना, उसका जो बेसिक एलिमेंट्स है वो आप में बाय डिफॉल्ट होता है। So if I was recently going through my files, my old photographs and all that stuff, I shared with you also, I guess.
Yes,
When I was child, yeah, I mean not child, but I was when I was in schools, right? I always aim for a corporate lady. I
yes,
always wanted to become a corporate woman, working woman in a corporates, and doing a 9 to 5 jobs, and high heels and blazer, and full on personality, and full to टशन, एकदम टशन
yes.
मार के ऑफिस में जा रहे हो, वैसा always I dreamed of it. And trust me, it knowingly, unknowingly, I have those, photographs also, जो मैं पेपर न्यूज़पेपर, पहले तो न्यूज़पेपर
Yes,
पढ़ा करते थे, तो न्यूज़पेपर से मैं कटिंग कर करके मेरे पास वो मेरे फाइल में रखती हूँ। So and when I see myself now, I have achieved that,
yeah. This
right?
is
So
basically
it's
manifestation. You
a
have actually manifested it.
yes, yes. So manifestation is also again now, very
Fancy.
मतलब, हाँ, वेरी फैंसी वर्ड नाउ। पता नहीं, मुझे अभी अभी मुझे ये वर्ड्स यूज करने का मन नहीं होता है, बिकॉज इट बिकम सो ओवरवेलमिंग नाउ
Yeah,
डेज। मैनिफेस्टेशन, लॉ ऑफ अट्रैक्शन, सेल्फ केयर, ऑल दैट स्टफ, बट थिंक अबाउट इन योर ओन लैंग्वेज, इन योर हेड। एंड यस, कॉन्सेप्ट इज नॉट रॉन्ग, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट कॉन्सेप्ट्स आर
yes.
रॉन्ग, बट द वर्ड्स,
टर्मिनोलॉजी, हाँ।
यस,
कोई
द
इसे मैनिफेस्टेशन
टर्मिनोलॉजी,
कह सकता है, हम उसको शिद्दत बोल सकते
ये हम इसको शिद्दत बोलते हैं। यस, कि मैंने बहुत शिद्दत से मतलब मैंने ये मांगा था,
हैं।
राइट?
Yes.
तो मेरी शिद्दत मतलब आज रंग लाई है, राइट? सो कोई भी मतलब जो भी है वो हमेशा होता है, हर एक इंसान के अंदर एक ट्रू एलिमेंट, एक कोर एलिमेंट होता है, जिसके बेस पे वो आगे जिंदगी में सक्सेस होता है।
Awesome. अति उत्तम, मजा आ गया। लाइक सुनकर ही मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि या अब इमोशनल क्लैरिटी दिख रही है कि यस, दिस इज द गाइड टू इट।
This is was again a brief of it. It's not the detailed
या,
one. It's
नो
just
प्रॉब्लम, विल
ऊपर
डू इट
ऊपर से
अगेन।
हमने बात की है. It's like a layout of the
Yeah,
concept.
surface level. We have
Yeah.
just scratched the surface, but now
Yes.
we are moving towards a very fun segment which I called Keep It Swift. जिसमें और आपकी
Okay.
पर्सनालिटी के मैं फ्रेगमेंट्स देखना चाहूंगी। So I'll ask you some quick questions.
All
Let's see.
right.
Okay. So morning person or a night owl?
Night out.
Night owl. Favorite de-stressing activity?
Breathing exercise and listening music. Pitbull is my go-to singer, कि जिसके सॉन्ग सुन के मुझे इंस्टेंट मेरा मूड स्विफ्ट हो जाता है.
Awesome.
So,
Workout or meditation?
Meditation nowadays.
Okay. Logical or romantic?
Romantic.
Bucket list destinations. अभी के.
Um, I want to go Mauritius, and I want to also visit Switzerland.
Oh, Switzerland. ये I think हर एक की bucket list check में
हर एक
होता है.
बकेट लिस्ट में नंबर वन पे होगा, I believe.
Yes. 3 habits that changed your life.
One habit, which is a self-talk, which
Yes.
completely changed my life. Number two, adaptability and flexibility.
Yes.
I was very rigid earlier, but at times now, slowly, gradually, I started adopting things very easily and become a flexible, right? And come up with the better version of myself. Third is consistency, which I'm still working on it, but somewhere I have succeed actually.
Nice. Who is your spirit animal?
My spirit,
Animal. Like the animal you resonate with the most.
dogs. I have
Oh.
two pets.
Nice. Movie or series that you really liked and why?
It's very hard actually. Okay, since I am emotional, okay, like I am considering myself an emotional person.
Pink.
So Dil To Pagal Hai, which is my most favorite movie.
Okay.
Web series, it suits, I guess, because it has a lot of professional, and they are lawyers, and again the corporate culture. So I relate a lot with that. So these two things, yeah.
Awesome. 3 personalities that impacted you the most.
Of other people,
Yeah. Like 3 personalities, like growing up, who you looked up to, who you aspired to become like.
first of all, my father. Looking at my father, and I learned a lot from my father, right? He got divorced and he never got married again because of me, because I'm a single child. So the sense of sacrifice for a good, I
And
learned that.
integrity. Yeah.
Yes. And the resilient, being a resilient personality, you know because he was 18, he was, I think, 20 when he got divorced.
Oh my
So
God.
in such a young age, yes, at this age, people bloom. People actually do experiments in their life. Actually,
Yeah.
it is the age where people start living their life, having
Yes.
fun in their life. And that age, my dad, you know, cover like it. He become a monk kind of, right? Because not having a life partner, not having a, any relationship, any romance, any, companion in his life, it's very tough.
Uh,
And I'm a daughter, like, father cannot communicate with a daughter
This
openly.
is the epitome of role model, especially
Yes.
as a father. This is amazing.
Yeah. So my father is the ultimate person whom I admire, and he's my role model. So other two, I don't think of it actually, because I have always,
This is
yeah,
ultimate.
if you
इससे
can
ऊपर
say
कुछ नहीं होता.
इसके ऊपर एग्जैक्टली इसके ऊपर कुछ नहीं, बट हाँ, इफ यू टॉक अबाउट एनी नॉलेज पर से, देन डॉक्टर मेघना दीक्षित. She
Yes.
is, and
Amazing.
I have a great interest in brain performance and
Yes.
all.
The
So I
neurology.
connect with her like anything, and she is, I look up to it. I have attended her a lot of this thing, and I'm a member of her community as well. And number three is the Dr. Joe Dispenza. Again, the neurologist and the
Yes.
scientist and all, you can say that he is the amazing guy. He has a great knowledge. So for knowledge and for career per se, these two personalities, I look up to it.
Okay. The podcast and books you would suggest to our audience that they must listen to and must read at least 3 to 4
Podcast and books, you said.
books. Yeah, books. Very
So
important.
books, I would say that the psychology of money,
Yes.
because in today's generation, more than emotion, money is important. Okay.
Yes.
Yes, emotion is there. Emotion makes you feel alive. That's the basic thing. But money makes you feel happy, right? It will
Yes.
allow you, it will give you the desired life that you are always dream of. Correct?
Yes. Basically, पैसा सब कुछ नहीं है पर पैसा आपको सब कुछ दे सकता है that you want.
that
Be
you
happy.
can look after, that can make you happy actually in your
Happy.
life,
Yes.
right? So psychology of money will change your mindset. So that is what I feel. It's a good book. And podcast, I'm not big, but yeah, there is one podcast. Yeah, Jay Shetty, he's a
Jay
good guy.
Shetty. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
and
nice.
he invite a lot of good people, intelligent people. So I listen to his podcast. And second one is I just forgot his name. That which regularly I listen to it. But yeah, these two podcasts actually I follow. Yeah.
Okay. And any other book that impacted you
Vishesh, actually.
specifically?
The second one is Vishesh.
Vishen Lakhiani.
Yes, Vishen Lakhiani. Yes. So
Yes.
Vishen
That's
Lakhiani
amazing.
is the ultimate source of knowledge
He
because
is.
he's the mediator, right?
Yes.
Maybe he's not the source of knowledge, but he's the mediator of, he connects with a lot of people
Lot
who
of
are
things.
knowledgeable in this
Yes.
industry. In the different areas of your life, you can learn bunch of things. So this
Yes.
two, yeah, is the ultimate.
Awesome choices. Any other book that impacted you specifically, that molded you into this niche?
Not really. I'm not a, I'm not, I cannot read a book. Okay.
Okay.
So recently, actually, I attended a one workshop as well. I used to wake up at 5:30 in the morning and, trying to being a love in the reading stuff because I'm a kind of visual learner. Okay.
Hmm.
So
Okay.
I learn from the videos. I use a YouTube a lot. So this is what makes me feel energetic and
Okay.
even a
You
source
have
of
to keep
peace.
it more swift from now on. Okay. So, what is your proudest accomplishment?
Sorry, I
Your
didn't get it.
proudest accomplishment in your life till now?
Lot of, actually many of them, but I would say I feel amazing when I was receiving a Hall of Fame award from Siddharth Rajshekhar, the
Yes.
guru of a digital, coaching industry. So I was feeling amazing.
Yes. Last person you searched on Instagram.
My ex.
Really? Okay. What is your biggest fear?
My biggest fear is water, but somewhere I have overcome, somewhere, but it's still a long way to go.
Okay. Had you
Mm.
met yourself 5 years ago, what would you have suggested or advised yourself?
Be practical. That's the because I was very emotional. Like I said, I'm an emotional person, and I'm embracing that. Okay, I'm because see what happens is for a year, like for years actually, I used to curse myself, man, and I used to cry over a lot. I'm like shit, yeah. I'm an emotional fool. I'm an emotional fool, you know. But then I'm like I started accepting again, like accepting and embracing that. Yes, I am emotional. I am emotions. I feel emotions. I
Yeah, and it
I
is a
respect
strength.
them.
This
Yes,
is a
it's my
similar thing.
strength
Even I
because
used
I
to do the same.
understand well other persons because I'm
Yeah.
feeling my own emotions as well. That's the reason, right?
And
So
these
yeah,
kind of people are the most understanding. So kudos.
yes. Thank you.
Okay. So first thing you do in the morning.
First thing I have, adopted one thing which I do it is writing down my thoughts. It has
Oh,
changed drastically. Trust me. I'm writing my 10 goals, which, I have learned from my mentor. And I'm writing down my thoughts as well. What's exactly going on?
yes.
Because what you decide in the morning, you will
Mhm.
carry that entire
Through
day.
the day. Yeah. True.
And second thing, I smile. Look myself into mirror and I smile. I'm like, wow,
Wow.
I'm looking so beautiful. So this is the affirmation bolo ya kuch bhi bolo. I'm self-obsessed, and I
ये
look
तो बढ़िया है.
myself into mirror. Yes, this is the my all-time favorite tip for anyone who wants to take it or not. But this is for me. I always look myself into mirror and I smile and I praise myself. I'm so beautiful.
Awesome.
Wow, Hetal, your hair is beautiful and all that stuff.
Amazing. Okay, so you have to prioritize now health, relationships, career, money, spirituality. What comes where? One, two, three, four,
Uh,
five.
Number one is career. Number two is money. Then what are the options?
Spirituality, relationships, health.
Spirituality and relationships. Relationships, why last? Because if I will not take care of myself, my mental health, my spiritual self, my financial stability, and my career, I won't be I won't be a good partner of my, better half, right?
Correct.
So I have to become complete whole first. I don't believe कि भाई better half बोल दिया मतलब वो मेरा part, मतलब I'm incomplete. That doesn't mean
Hmm.
that. I
Yes.
want to be complete. I want to be complete myself. I want to be a whole first. Then I will help others. And then I will be a part of other person's relationship and all.
Yes. Awesome. Okay, so that was the end of Cupid Swift. But before leaving, one last advice or suggestion or message to the youth of India, to the youth of the country.
Um, I would say that many people, youth बोलो या 30s, मैं तो ज़्यादा 30s पे emphasize करती हूँ, like late 20s and 30s.
Yes.
What happens is we are clueless. Okay, there is a modern culture, there is a traditional culture, there is our own values and ethics. ये तीनों में हम लॉस्ट हैं. हम क्लूलेस इसके लिए है क्योंकि हम डिसाइड ही नहीं कर पाते कि किस किस चीज को हमें अडॉप्ट करना चाहिए, राइट? In this chaos, because information is a lot, movies are there, web series
Yeah.
are there. अगर आप
Overloaded.
देखोगे ना बहुत सारा ओवरलोडेड हो गया है अभी, राइट? तो मैं ये बोलना चाहूंगी कि sit yourself first, just calmly do a breathing exercise, because breathing exercise, I don't believe often in meditation, okay? But जो ये प्राणायाम वाला जो ब्रीदिंग एक्सरसाइज
Hmm.
है, that will automatically bring you in a meditation level,
Yes.
which I love about that. Okay.
Level your mind and center your emotions.
Yes. So when you will be centered in yourself, you will have a clarity in your life,
Yes.
right? With all the aspects of your life. So have a clarity first, what you want and why you want. So that's the message.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being unfiltered and raw you. और आई थिंक आई हैव लर्नड अ लॉट पर्सनली, लाइक ऐसे बहुत से फैसेट्स खुल गए कि या ये भी पॉसिबल है, ये भी हो सकता है, ऐसे कभी सोचा नहीं. सो थैंक यू सो मच. आपके एक्सपीरियंसेस, योर ओपिनियन, द वे यू आर, योर पर्सनालिटी, इट ऑल रिफ्लेक्ट्स अ लॉट एंड आई एम श्योर जो भी चीज आपने शेयर की, इट्स गोना हेल्प अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल, स्पेशली द टारगेट ऑडियंस दैट वी आर एमिंग फॉर, अब 20 प्लस टू the 30s.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
So awesome. मुझे
Thank you so
personally,
much, Ashley, for inviting me. And even I also had a breakthroughs, because I always, consider you as like my dear ones, actually. And you are the personality who actually bring other persons the true self. Okay. So you push
I,
people to become true to themselves, and they be honest with you, be original with you, actually.
yes,
So, and
we do.
I really, bless you, and I wish that your charm, your real charm, always remain the same. Yeah.
Same here.
No bad experience, no negativity can harm your true self. This is what I genuinely wish for.
Oh, wow. Oh my God. पिघला दिया एकदम. अब मैं क्या बोलूं? This is
It
basically
is
the
real,
best blessing.
Ayushi. Why I'm saying is it's for the other young girls as well, because it happens, you layering up.
Yeah,
Your
that happened.
true self is lost somewhere. So you have to be true to yourself. Never
Awesome.
forget your own innocence, right?
Awesome. Awesome. I don't think I can ever stop any conversation with you, which is why we will do another podcast and
Okay.
maybe approach
Surely I will
different,
be there.
yes, different segments. अभी न्यूरोलॉजी बाकी है, न्यूरोसाइंस
Yes.
है, बहुत कुछ है
Yeah.
हमारे पास बात करने के लिए. So we'll see you again very very soon. But thank you so much for this amazing convo. It has helped me a lot. It will help a lot of people. So yes, bless you,
Thank you so
love
much.
you. Thank you
Thank
so
you. I love you a lot.
much. Love
Thank you,
you too.
Aisha.
Thank you. Thank you so much for watching this podcast till the end. I hope you found it valuable, useful, and fun. As usual, please give the key learnings in the comments and also share it with your friends or anyone who you think might need it. Do not forget to subscribe to Ambivert Ash for consistent podcasts and content on personal development, communication skills, and public speaking. I will see you very soon in the next video and the coming podcast next week. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, keep pushing, and keep supporting each other. Love, love, nos vemos.